British farmers, supermarkets and food suppliers have called on Prime Minister Theresa May to secure a free trade deal with the European Union after Brexit. Take a look. British industry bosses said failure to secure a free trade deal could harm the UK's supply of food and drink and lead to higher prices. Leaders said that although much of the food industry is based in the UK, it cannot operate in isolation. They urged ministers to ensure higher tariffs were not imposed on imported and exported produce. Prime Minister May is due to start the process of leaving the EU on Wednesday. She has already warned the other 27 EU countries that no deal would be better than a bad deal. May has decided to make immigration control her priority for Brexit, stating Britain is prepared to give up its membership of the EU's single market and customs union in order to achieve that. In the absence of a deal, trade between Britain and the EU would be undertaken under the default World Trade Organization rules and tariffs. The EEF said British manufacturing exports to the EU, such as cars, chemicals and machinery, could face tariffs averaging 5.3%. Further obstacles to trade could also include new customs procedures and higher compliance costs. Companies in the UK's much bigger services sector are also concerned about future access to the EU's single market, especially in the banking industry. A think tank said on Monday that the government's plan to leave the EU customs union was the best way for Britain to strike trade deals with other countries, despite the risk of disruption to trade with the bloc. OPEC members and non-cartel nations are offering the possibility of a 6-month extension on a deal to reduce oil production. Ministers from OPEC and other oil-producing nations made the agreement on Sunday at their committee meeting in Kuwait. The Joint Committee said that as of February, OPEC and participating non-OPEC countries reached a conformity level of 94% on a voluntary 6-month reduction in output. The statement said the figure demonstrates the willingness of all participating countries to continue their cooperation. The committee said it encouraged all participating countries to press on toward 100% conformity. The OPEC agreed last November to cut its production by 1.2 million barrels a day, the first reduction agreed by the group since 2008. In December, 11 other non-OPEC oil-producing countries pledged to cut an additional 558,000 barrels a day in order to reach an overall reduction of 1.8 million barrels per day. The committee's statement on Sunday also said the deal could be extended for another 6 months, depending on the status of supply and demand, including global inventories. Arab League Secretary-General urged all Arab countries to solve the increasing economic and social problems in the Arab world to help ease the world's refugee crisis. Aboud Gate made the remarks at a preparatory meeting for the Economic and Social Council at the Arab Summit, noting that more than half of the world's refugees are Arabs. He said there are pressing challenges for Arab economies and societies, noting the high unemployment among the Arab youth, which stands at around 29%. He added that the declining economic growth rates and continued conflicts in the region pose challenges that make developments in the Arab world more difficult. Aboud Gate also identified extremism as the main enemy to development in the Arab world, saying it causes splits in the societies and prevents Arabs from making advances on a par with the rest of the world. He said only modern education and openness can help encounter such ideologies. New Zealand has become the first Western developed country to sign a cooperation agreement with China on the Belt and Road Initiative. The Economy Report has more. Monday, visiting Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and his New Zealand counterpart Bill English witnessed the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Li said China and New Zealand will explore the possibilities of bilateral cooperation in various fields to promote interconnectivity between the two countries. New Zealand was the first Western developed country to conclude bilateral negotiations on China's accession to the World Trade Organization to recognize China's full market economy status, to sign and implement a bilateral free trade agreement with China and to join the China-initiated Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank as a founding member. The Belt and Road Initiative comprises the Silk Road Economic Belt and the first-century maritime Silk Road, which was proposed by China in 2013. It aims to build a trade and infrastructure network connecting Asia with Europe and Africa along and beyond the ancient land and maritime Silk Road trade routes. Li arrived in Wellington on Sunday for a 4-day visit to the Oceanian country, the first by a Chinese premier in 11 years. Australia's cattle industry leaders are praising new opportunities arising from Chinese Premier Li Keqiang's 5-day official visit to the country, which ended on Sunday. China is Australia's largest trading partner. A free trade agreement between the two countries took effect in December 2015, bringing down tariffs on Australian beef, wine, fruits, and other products. It aimed at giving businesses earlier access to the Chinese market.
Certainly welcome the opportunity to put more product, particularly chilled product, into China. I know there was, we were putting product in there, and then there was a bit of a temporary, I don't know whether they'd said ban or whatever, and then it's good to see that it's been come back and increasing the opportunity to put product in there. And so, yeah, we welcome it. Standards and of quality and hygiene and safety. I second. It's obviously a fantastic product. So when Chinese, one of the things they do value is the safety of the product. I think that's our future.
China's growing middle class means a potentially huge demand for high-quality Australian products, which would give local agricultural businesses immense opportunities. Australia's former Trade Minister Craig Emerson predicted the trend. He is also confident about growth in higher education and tourism and pointed to elderly care as the next big opportunity for Australian business.
Post the mining boom, there's been a lot of talk, deservedly, about a dining boom, for premium, high-quality Australian food. There will be interest in very high-quality health and aged care services, and Australia has an enviable reputation in both.
Catherine Carver, a National Bank of Australia official, says she feels extremely bullish about infrastructure business. Carver says the financial institution has a vital role to play in helping more small and medium-sized businesses to trade with China.
I think the simple answer is there's lots of upside because of the great relationship China and Australia have.
Premier Li Keqiang's visit promoted better relations between China and Australia, not only in business, but also at the level of people to people. With anti-globalization and protectionism are gaining ground in some areas of the world, economic globalization seems to arrive at a crossroads. Together even tighter or to fall apart, the world community is confronting a critical choice that matters much for many. Such issues plague economists and hit headlines at the Boao Forum for Asia 2017, which has concluded in South China's Hainan province. Economy Report has more. Themed as globalization and free trade, the Asian perspectives, this year's conference came at a time when skeptical voices are emerging over the benefits of globalization. The United States, once a top promoter of economic globalization, has adopted an inward-looking posture. And the European Union has been badly hit by the Brexit and throws its own globalization experiment into doubt. Hans-Paul Berkner, chairman of the Boston Consulting Group, views the current trend as twists and turns in the process of globalization.
We need to make sure that this process continues. There may be now setbacks, but I think medium to long term, I think it will continue. But we need to also address those issues. We need to understand that people have anxieties in different parts of the world, and that we have to address these anxieties. And it's not just, pushing them aside, but how can we help people who feel that they may be affected.
Over the recent years, cross-border trade and investment sustained a slump. Trade barriers were built higher and regional integration was hindered in some countries. Many blame globalization for troubles like a decline in incomes and job opportunities. Lan Cheng-ing, chief executive of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, warns that protectionism might calm domestic dissent in the short term, but will harm the public interests in the long run.
In recent years, however, some economies have turned to restrictive trade measures in the wake of anti-globalization sentiments and economic difficulties at home. Protectionism is never the answer. High tariffs can only protect domestic industries for so long. In the long term, protectionism hurts the economy. Productivity will decline, innovation will be strangled without competition, goods and services will be more expensive, and standard of living will drop.
Over the centuries, through trade transactions and human exchanges, most parts of the world have already become interconnected. Despite the costs it brings, the process of globalization has benefited the world in many areas. According to the International Monetary Fund, globalization has lifted 300 million people out of poverty, led to lower prices across the entire consumer supply chain, and reduced inequalities between countries. Stephen Groff, Vice President of the Asian Development Bank, expressed the confidence that the world community will not throw away the apple because of its core.
Global economic growth is so much dependent on this interconnection that, if you try to dismantle that, it would be, I'm not sure that you can even dismantle it in any way that isn't going to, completely have, huge impacts on each individual country. So I don't think that there's any real risk that there's going to be huge protectionism that emerges over the course of the next couple of years, and I think that we're going to be able to manage.
In the face of both opportunities and challenges of globalization, it is believed that the right thing to do is how to make it more inclusive and ensure its benefits are shared.
All countries need to collaborate to explore inclusive and shared development, especially at a time featuring sluggish world economy, declining trade and investment volume, rising debt and over-reliance on monetary policy.
No one will emerge as a winner in a trade war. We must remain committed to developing global free trade and investment, promote trade and investment liberalization and facilitation through opening up, and say no to protectionism.
Against a sluggish world economy, China's GDP expanded 6.7% last year, contributing to more than 30% of global economic growth. Employment was also better than expected. At the 2017 conference of the Boao Forum for Asia, Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli said growth was within a reasonable range. He added supply-side structural reform had produced its first results. Experts agreed that supply-side structural reform will help China overcome its economic difficulties and propel regional growth. The theme of this year's four-day forum is Globalization and Free Trade, the Asian Perspectives. The event, taking place in South China's Hainan province, offers an opportunity to understand China's economic reform better.
I think the Boao Forum for Asia provides a good opportunity to help China to go outside, and the supply-side structural reform has generated new strong momentum for China's economic and social development.
China's 3 decades of rapid growth were fueled by capital investment and exports on the demand side. Supply-side reform, on the other hand, aims to increase the supply of high-end products and services by stimulating business through tax cuts, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Liu Bing, Dean of Research Institute of Macroeconomics in Shandong Province, said supply-side reform is a practical choice for China.
China's reform of the supply front will be deepened this year, which will prompt development of China's economy in the long term. The supply-side structural reform will contribute to transformation and upgrading of industrial structure.
The expert said China's long-term, sustainable and healthy development is only possible through local innovation encouraged by supply-side reform.
I think China's economic structural reform is inevitable for the country to achieve a sustainable development. The key of the reform of the supply front is to improve quality and efficiency of our products or service, which will be helpful for the development of regional economy. The stable and healthy development of China's economy will also lead to the development of the world economy.
Increased emphasis on the supply side gives an incentive to provide better products and services, including state-of-the-art manufacturing, medical care, and customized services. Liu added that although the Chinese economy has entered a so-called new normal phase, the demands of its 1.3 billion people continue to increase, which is a driving force for economic development.
Entering a new normal of medium-high speed after decades of rapid growth, China is shifting to a quality, efficiency-oriented growth model driven by innovation and consumption and directed by the new development concept in the coming years and beyond. The government will conduct more suitable policies for the new normal economic development, which encourage more companies to innovate.
The Chinese government has set the growth target for this year at about 6.5%. The IMF has estimated that China's economic growth in 2017 will stand at around 6.5%. The meetings also emphasized China's long-term push for innovation. While renting luxury items has become commonplace in Western countries, the model is still developing in China. Miss Paris, a Chinese online luxury renting company, has now started gaining popularity across the country.
Many women know how it is. A wardrobe full of clothes but nothing to wear. Miss Paris, located in Shanghai Bund, is trying to offer women a more economic way to be fashionable. It sends buyers to New York's Fifth Avenue and fashion shows in Paris on behalf of their clients. Customers can then choose from more than 100 European and American brands, within a price range of $300 and $1,000.
We have 50 to 60 offers per day in the peak season.
By paying online, you can rent clothes from anywhere for no extra fee. The company provides next-day delivery to China's first-tier cities. The cost of Miss Paris membership card is 518 yuan per month, or 3,588 yuan per year. Each member has a maximum of 400 yuan a day to rent clothes, with no limitations on style, brands, prices, or numbers. Customers only pay extra if the price of the clothes goes over the daily limit.
The total renting price of the two dresses that she just picked is 719 yuan. That means she only has to pay 319 yuan for the extra. One costume is from Ralph Lauren and the other is from laundry. They normally would sell at about 3,000 to 5,000 yuan at couture.
Many traditional costume renting stores tend to have smaller clientele, meaning higher renting prices, especially for those expensive dresses. In contrast, thanks to the huge online market, Miss Paris dresses are more accessible. Over 80% of the renting prices for a single outfit are below 400 yuan, with a renting period of 3 days. For one, this is a very attractive bargain. What she could spend on just one well-known brand dress could cover the same expenses as renting for a whole year. And of course, Miss Paris offers much more choices. Wang works in finance in Shanghai. She needs a wardrobe to shine at every party and social event. The low price and great variety of Miss Paris meet her needs exactly.
I have the opportunity to try out every style of latest costumes so that I know what fits me best. If it fits me well, I will consider buying one. If not, I will just rent it once. Miss Paris gives me the chance to change my clothes as frequently as I want. And it also means that I do not need to own many clothes, but can just wear the clothes I want and turn to other styles when I get bored. This is such a good online services that costs little but offers more.
Ms. Paris now owns over thousands of outfits from more than 100 top Western brands, most of which reflect the most up-to-date fashions of the current season in New York and Paris. After attracting a large number of customers through its costume renting service, Ms. Paris is turning to everyday clothes, bags, and accessories to meet women's needs at different occasions. The service has spread to over 30 cities in China since it began in March 2015. However, the company also faces a lot of difficulties in the running of the business, namely inventory, delivery, quality guarantee, cleaning, and maintenance. Many people still have concerns over health and hygiene issues, as clothes are relatively private products, and those doubts will decide whether they will fully accept the new concept of renting.
We have established a cleaning and disinfection center to address the issue. All the clothes that customers return will be cleaned and disinfected there. The person in charge has the background of doing the same thing in a 5-star hotel in Shanghai, so that it is within strict control. If the costumes have damages or get really old, we will just replace them with new ones.
Renting luxury items is an established business in Western countries. Ms. Paris' American counterparts had used several methods to make the break, such as providing more items and functions. On Rent the Runway's website, members can post pictures of their rented clothes. That helps users see what the clothes look like on normal, non-model people.
Western companies have been doing the business for many years, and we learned a lot from some American companies. The service has barely entered the domestic market because in the past, Chinese women cared little about the quality or brand of their clothes. They knew nothing about international top brands, but it is totally a different picture right now. Women now focus more on the quality, and they show great interest in brands like MK or DVF. Furthermore, their appetite is getting bigger, and they are not only happy with a few dresses, they want more. And that is exactly why we are valuable in the market. We share the closet, and they get the benefit.
The luxury rental industry in China is still in its infancy, but the underlying technology and markets are already developed. As consumers grow accustomed to a sharing economy, luxury rental companies still face challenges in how to promote their services more effectively, build user bases, and decide whether they want to work with each other or compete.
专业的团队，丰厚的经验。
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第三，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。蓝天壮志情，云海谱华章。
列车运行前方。17点06分，这个又是一路畅通。